guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. It's Bri here, and for today's Vlogmas video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 25 books that I really need and want to read in 2025. I wrote down 25 books that I want to get through in 2025, and I broke them up into different sections. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So the first section we're going to start with is romance, and I have my pile right here. So the first book we're going to pick up and share is My Favorite Half-Night Stand by Christina Lauren. I've had this book probably for almost 3 years now, and it's been sitting on my shelf. And it's so cute. I love the cover, and I love Christina Lauren. Their books are so good and really popular. And no one really talks about this book. Maybe that's why I don't pick it up. But I really want to read it because I know it's a cute romance. So yeah, definitely want to read this in 2025. The next book that I want to pick up is The Confidence of Wildflowers by Michaela Smeltzer. I love this cover. It's beautiful. Like, I love the flowers, and I don't know why I picked this up. I think I watched a YouTube video one time, and the YouTuber I was watching, she was like, oh, the book's kind of like okay, not the best, like she was expecting more. Maybe that's what I'm expecting of the book. But it's an age gap, and it says I was 18, he was 31, we were worlds apart, but right next door, the temptation was too much. Like, just reading that is drawing me in right now. Like, I kind of want to read this really soon. So, and the pages are, like, the words are a perfect size. They're not too big, not too small, so definitely gonna pick this up next year. This contemporary romance book has been on my to-be-read list for probably almost 4 years now, ever since it came out and got really popular. It is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and I've heard such great things about this author, and I think it's just time that I need to pick this up. I have a student with a professor in STEM. Gotta get on this. So, Olivia and Adam. Yeah. With Grumpy meets Sunshine. Probably he's the grump. That would be when a fake relationship between scientists meets the irresistible force of attraction. It throws one woman's carefully calculated theories on love into chaos. Yeah, enough said of this book. Like, I just have to read this. I've really been interested in this book, and I definitely want to pick it up soon, is The Soulmate Equation by Christina Lauren. This cover is also really pretty. I love the purple design with the heart and the DNA. This says, a heartfelt and funny novel about what happens when two people with everything on the line are thrown together by science. Or is it fate? Just sounds so good. Like, I think it's this guy, from what I recall, I think it's this guy who has this experiment. If the DNAs match, like they fall in love with each other, or that's who they should be with. I think that's what it is. I could be so wrong. I definitely want to get along with this because this sounds really cool. Next romance book that I want to pick up is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I've heard such great things about this book. It is a college romance book, and once again, I love these covers. They're beautiful, and this is a pretty thick book. I think it's like, let's see, yeah, over 500 pages, so it's definitely a tough one. But I think, from what I've recalled from other people talking about the story and just getting a glimpse of what it is about, I think it's football romance, and having it in college, I think that's perfect to read right now, just because I am in college. Just given that mindset. I've heard such great things about the book, and I'm definitely going to pick it up next year. And the last romance book of this category is A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime by Monica Murphy. She has plenty of books that I've always gravitated towards and never picked up. This is the only one I have of her physical copy. Hopefully I can get around to this soon. So that's the romance section. The next section is summer, and the only book I have on my radar right now is This Summer Will Be Different by Carly Fortune. I read a couple of her books this past summer, and I love her writing. It is amazing. And once this book came out this past summer, I bought it right away. Did I read it right away? No, but I bought it. To support, of course. So this one says, this summer they'll keep their promise. This summer they won't give into temptation. This summer will be different. So it's Lucy and Felix, and I think it's giving that same vibe as like her other books. So the characters are Lucy and Felix, and they're vacationing at a beach house on an island. So I heard such great things about this book, and in the summer, definitely gonna pick it up. The next category is winter, and the first book that I have on this list is From Luke Off With Love by Brianna Breschard. I actually read 2 Brianna Breschard books, and I love her writing. It is awesome. I know the books are like really thick, like over 600 pages. This one's a little over 500, which is not bad, but she draws me in so quickly. I love her books. So this one I've had for a while, I think since like March. Never picked it up, but I love the cover. This one's about Jasmine and Ivan, and they do figure skating, and there's a romance there, of course, but I'm very excited because I do love figure skating, so it's a good time for the winter. I already started this book, but I wanted to add it. It is called One Day in December by Josie Silver. I've heard such great things about this book, and I think I'm about 30 pages in, and I love this book. The plot happened right away, like 2 chapters in. It's so good so far, and it's a pretty long Christmas book. Like, we'll see what happens, but I've heard such great things about this book, and I'm definitely going to read it this year into next year, but hopefully get it done this year. We'll see. The next category that I created for you guys was another season, and that is fall. There are a lot of books in this one, and the first book I have is Daisy Jones and the Six. And yes, this is one of the books I want to read this year, but it's getting pushed to next year. I heard such great things about this book. There's a show. It seems so fast-paced. There's an audiobook that will make it go by so much faster. Did I touch it? No. But I will get around to it next year. That I promise. Another book that was on my 2024 list that I didn't get around to was Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. I love this cover. I've heard so many great things about this book. Did I pick it up? No. So hopefully I can pick it up this year or next year. And it says, the story of my heart will never be unwritten. Like, that is already reeling me in to read this book, so I need to get around to it next year. This next book is part of a series, and it is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Her writing is so great, so fast-paced, and this book is a series, so there's 4 books in the series, and there's like a mystery to it, so it is like they're solving problems, and these characters in the story have superpowers, so I'm very excited to check this out. Another book that I've had on my shelf for a pretty long time and never picked it up is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book I've had on my shelf for years, never picked it up, and 2025, I think it's the year to pick it up. I'm not going to say anything more about this book just because there has been so much about this book online, and it's just about time I need to read it. Another book that I want to read this year, but now I'm going to push it to next year, is November 9 by Colleen Hoover. I have the original cover, and I love this one so much better. Like, I was not buying it unless I had this cover because it's a couple that meets every November 9th. And I thought it'd be really cool to read it on November 9th or just in the month of November, just because it takes a place in that time. So I'm very excited to check this out. And the last book that I want to read in fall, definitely in October, is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I've heard so many great things about this book. Super creepy cover, and it's like this woman who takes care of a family and things go dark. So that's all I'm going to say about this one. I picked it up this year but never got around to it, so hopefully I can read it next year. Let's move on to the next category. The next stack of books that I have is under the category of sad books, so here we go. First one I've had for so long, it is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silveira. Might be pronouncing that wrong, but I've had this book since it got really popular. I haven't picked it up, but I know it takes place in New York, and do we know the ending? I don't know. So definitely want to read this in the next year. The next book in this category is The Midnight Library by Matt Hang, and I've heard so many great things about this book, and look at this cover. It's beautiful. I just know there's like a library involved, and a person like picks a book from their past like in this library. I don't know too much about this book, but I've heard such great things. The next book, I just know I'm going to cry. It is If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin, and this cover is already heartbreaking to me. Like, I don't know too much about this book, but I just know there's a romance, something goes wrong, and just everything changes. So I definitely want to pick this up when I need to cry. This next book was actually recommended by my boyfriend, and it is Ghost Boy. There's some trigger warnings, so I'd definitely look it up. It's about this boy who doesn't have the ability to communicate, but once he does, he opens up a whole new world of communication. And that is part of my future job, and he had to read this for a class related to our field. So I definitely want to check it out because I heard such great things from him about this book. And the last book in this category, I really wanted to get around to it this year but didn't have the time, was Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. And this book is also related to like my field because there's sign language included, and it is just a beautiful love story that I've heard such great things about. It's one of like the top romance books of all time. Definitely need to read this coming year. And here's the last stack of books. The last category are books in a series that I want to either start and or finish the series. So let's get to the last category. The first book is Consider Me by Becca Mack, and this is the Playing for Keeps series. This is the first book, and this is about NHL hockey romance book. Don't know too much about it, but definitely want to pick it up and start this series. Next series I heard is so good, and it is Shatter Me by Tiara Mafi. This is a really long series, but I've heard such great things. They're quick, short books, and I know there's a couple novellas, so it goes by pretty quick. I think there's like 10 books in the series, so definitely want to get around to this really soon. The next series I want to start is the Boys of Tommen series, and this is the first book. So this is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. I like their new covers because the book doesn't seem as intimidating. If you've seen the old covers, they're like textbook length. So the back of the book says, he wants to save her, she wants to hide, she's damaged, he's determined, fate brought them together, love binds them. And I think this is a sports romance too, so that sounds up my alley. So excited to read this and start the series. This next series I actually started. This is The Deal by Elle Kennedy, so the off-campus series. I actually read this first book, and there are 4 other books in this series, and then there's a spin-off series, but I definitely want to finish this series. But I picked up the first book to show you guys just because I've read this probably 3 years ago, and I remember some of it, like I tabbed a couple things, but I think I want to annotate this and get through the whole series in one sitting instead of like spacing out the books. So definitely want to restart this book and then finish the series. Also, this is another hockey romance. Another book that I started was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I did read this first one. So fast paced. I finished it in one sitting. I loved it. And then there's, I think, 4 or 3 other books in this series, and then there's like a spin-off to this series with 3 other books that are coming out. So definitely want to binge this series as well, just read them in order. But this first book was awesome. This one's like kind of a mystery love triangle romance, and it was so good when I read it the first time, so I definitely want to restart and then read it in order. And the last book I have, this is the last book in the series, and of course it's the longest one, but it is the ACOTAR series. So this is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas, and look how massive this book is. I think it's like 750 pages in this book. Like, crazy. Textbook crazy. But it is the last book in the series. I just want to finish it because it's such a good series. And I don't want to forget any of the parts, so definitely want to get around to this in 2025. And I've heard there's more books coming out in the series, so I want to finish it so that I can just hop right into the series right when the new books come out. And those are the 25 books that I want to read in 2025. I have faith in myself to read the 25 books that I want to read. We'll see though, because I know a lot of new books are coming out, but we'll see. Hopefully I can get to my physical TBR before buying new books. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please give it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace!